Hello Flosstube, it's Jerry Caudell, the Yankee Creek Stitcher, and I'm finally back with a Flosstube update. It's Saturday, January 1st of 2022. I hope everyone had a safe New Year's evening. We spent the evening at home. I actually was in my studio and was working on some fully finished objects because I wanted to have a few more under my belt to show you with my Flosstube update today. So my last Flosstube was October 24th. So I've done quite a bit of stitching, have a few finishes. So I'm going to update you on those and my WIPGO 2021 results and what my 2022 plans are for WIPGO and just regular stitching. And after I record this video, I am going to then record a WIP parade. So I'll have all my numbers and all updates on all the rest of my stitches that I haven't worked on the past couple months. And I love starting my year off with a big WIP parade so I can see how much progress I got on my projects. So let's just start out with, I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas. We did, both of my daughters were here, and the one in Tennessee, she spent the week with us, her and her husband. So we had a great time, and yeah, so just a bunch of family time. I hosted a couple of Christmas parties, so that was lots of fun. So yeah, we've just been keeping it low key, hanging out here at the house. Once it gets cold, I like to hibernate in my house till about March, April. So I go all out with my Christmas decorating. This is my bedroom, and if you've followed me for very long, you know that I love decorating my entire house for Christmas, and it's a labor of love. I dread taking it down. I'll probably take it down, I don't know, last year I did pretty good. It was like late January, early February, and I had most of it down. So I don't know, February timing. If I'm at home, I love spending my weekends in the house and turning on all my Christmas lights until, into January, February-ish timing. So I love it. I enjoy it. And some people think I'm crazy, but that's okay. Okay, so now we'll jump right in. And I am going to show you some FFOs, my starts, and my whips. So we'll start out with FFOs. And my first one I'll share with you is, I like to make my Christmas ornaments for my girls. I like to make them for my own tree, but I haven't taken the time to do that the last couple of years. So you'll hear about stitching ornaments later on in my plan. So this is the Noel chart from Hands On Design. And I followed Chelsea and Priscilla's lead and changed, because it's all of these charts are kind of more of a green theme. So I changed my house to red, and love how that turned out. And I just made a little bow with a loop, and on the back I closed it up with a little felt piece, a snowflake button, and Love Mom 2021. So both of my daughters got one of these just like that. And I was going to, I don't know, I'll put it out there as a hint or a tip. When you make ornaments or something that you're going to hang on a tree or a nail or something, a lot of people, when they make them, they make their loops. And then, so when they put them on there straight like that, it's like this. Well, when you put it on a limb, your piece is going to turn sideways. So if you make the loop where you just cross them over in the back and that they're this way, and then the loop goes right on the limb or the nail, and your stitch piece faces out like it's supposed to. So just a little FYI, because normally if you just do the loop, your loop faces this way, and so your cross stitch piece or whatever you're hanging hangs this way and you don't see it. So I always make sure I got that loop like that. My second FFO is Prairie Schoolers December, and I got this little sled at the Target dollar spot, but $5, this little sled. You'll see the red was this bright red, but I scuffed up the black and the red just to dull it down a little bit, because I prefer the distressed look. So, and then I just wish I had taken down the sides of this just a little bit more so I could have seen the sides of the sled, but I'm really happy with it. It'll do. And then I just glued some cording around it. So I love the way this turned out. I did do this last night, so it was a little after, well, it was the very last day of December, but of course I will hang this up for the winter. And this chart does have some snowflakes on the bottom, but I knew I was going to be putting it on the sled, so in order for it to fit, I had to leave that off. So, but I'm thrilled with how that turned out. This is another FFO that I did last night. This is Prairie Schooler, and I believe it's called Happy Christmas. I think this was stitched on 32 count Weeks Dye Works gunmetal. I had finished it early last year or the year before, and just now got around to fully finishing it. I did find this frame at Hobby Lobby, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, and it was more of a natural finished wood, but I went and just brushed on some chalk paint because I think it helps make the white pop a little more. And just a tip, if you do stitch this chart on dark color fabric, this is the called for green, which is pretty difficult to see. So after realizing that, I think I had one stitched and was stitching this, and I was like, I need to just change up the green. So I did switch over to these lighter greens. So, you know, it's kind of mixed in with the mixed greens, and I think it looks okay. So thrilled with that piece. And my last FFO, I finished stitching this piece a while back, but finally got all my pieces together. I had this sign. It was just this sign. It was either Hobby Lobby or maybe Cracker Barrel that I got this sign. And I already had this chart and knew I was going to be stitching it. So I bought this sign specifically to finish this stitched piece on. So this is Erica Michaels' Ebenezer's Christmas. And this is I can't think of the play that we go see every year. Anyway, I drilled 2 little holes in here. My husband had this wood. It's just really light, thin piece of wood. He already had that, and I was actually looking for some at Hobby Lobby. He was like, no, I got something that's perfect for that. So he cut it for me, and then I just did some distressed painting on there. I don't like how wide the board is, so I may have him either cut each side down a little bit, or I don't know, maybe do some type of like a stencil or something to bring it all together. But I did get this finished, I don't know, about a month or so ago, so it was hanging up for the holidays. So I just love how it turned out. Very, very happy that I've actually fully finished it and it was hanging up for this Christmas. I thought the sign and the font was just perfect for that chart. Okay, so that was my FFOs since October. I do have some finished objects, FOs. We'll start with Beggar's Night from Threadwork Primitives. Help us, little Christmas tree lights. I love how it turned out. I was really close to being done with this on my last floss tube, and I think it was just the bottom part that I needed to finish stitching. And love how this turned out. I think this was 36 count. Yeah, it's 36 count. I stitched 1/2. I think this is medium pumpkin. It's from Luminous Fiber Arts. Love this. Love this. So I don't know if I'll finish this into a pillow or frame it or some other kind of unique finish. I think it just needs to be more than just a pillow, so we'll see what we come up with. Okay, and then I finished Beggar's Night. I finished October 29th, so just a few days after my last floss tube. And this next one is the 1989 Santa from Prairie Schooler. And I stitched him, I started stitching him on, I believe it's a 28 count even weave, that I think I got this from Hobby Lobby. It's definitely an even weave. And I stitched him 1/1. And I probably had maybe a quarter of him done, maybe a quarter, half of the border in my last floss tube. And I think right after my last floss tube, I just started focusing on him. I'm like, I wanted to have a lot of these Prairie Schooler Santas on my tree last year, and I haven't even finished him. So I'm like, I need to get busy. And so I focused on him for a few weeks, and I actually finished him November 18th. Very happy with how he turned out. But I must say, I will not stitch anymore 1/1. Not my thing. So since I finished him, I started another one, the 1984, and I'm thinking this was the first year for these. And I have most. There's probably a handful that I don't have. So this is the 1984 Santa. I started him, I believe, the day after I finished the 1989. So November 19th, and I finished him on December 1st. I made it kind of a focus, and I just love. I did change my green and my red, and I do not remember what I changed those to. And I think I changed the color of his bag. I don't remember what it was, but I made it like a kind of like a burlap color. And like I said, I have most of these, and I stitched this on, I think I got like a half a yard or a yard of 36 count. It was either Confederate gray or tin roof. And so I've cut out my squares to stitch all of these on. So they'll be on the same fabric. But they're 36 count, and I'm stitching them 1/2. So yeah, happy with that, and I'll just keep my greens and my reds. I just have it on a floss ring now. I have all of my charts printed out for working copy in a project bag and some squares already, so I'll finish one and continue on to the next one. I hadn't started another one yet because I finished him December 1st, so I had more Christmas winter stitching that I wanted to move on to in December. So at least I got 2 finished, happy with that. Okay, so we'll move on to my starts. And I only had 3. And one of those was actually my New Year, New Start that I started this morning. So my first start was November 21st, and that was my birthday. And I have loved this chart. It really propelled me to get this started. Amanda May with Ardith Designs, she finished this probably at least a year ago, and I was like, I have to get that chart. It was absolutely gorgeous. So I've had the chart, and I kitted it up, I think pretty much all the called for. Let me see what I'm stitching this on. Oh, I'm stitching it on 36 count Egyptian sand, and I'm thinking that's by Mountain Mist Fabric Company, something like that. 36 count Egyptian sand. And so yeah, I started it November 21st for my birthday start. And I'm really loving this. It's so gorgeous. I spent several days on it. Let me get something behind there. My Christmas tree lights back there are a little bright. There we go. That's better. But I love this fabric color. It's perfect for fall stitches, Halloween stitches. But I love stitching on this fabric, and I love stitching this chart. I think the colors are just beautiful. Really love how that's coming along. It will finish at about 9 by 9 inches. So I think that's going to be such a nice size. And I think it would be really cool to find like a circle frame to finish that in. It's, just looking at it, it's just gorgeous. Just absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I literally had to make myself stop stitching on it because I wanted to get into stitching Christmas stuff. So I think I stitched on this until early December, and I'm like, okay, we gotta move along. So yeah, love the colors, and this fabric is gorgeous for this chart. So my second start was Oh Christmas Tree. And if I was thinking, I found a frame at a yard sale. You know what? I'm gonna go grab it. Okay, so this next start was inspired by this frame that I found at the yard sale. It's like a Tiffany blue or minty, I don't know, Tiffany blue or I don't know, minty color. But when I seen it, it reminded me of the projects in this book, The Magic of Christmas, The Magic of Christmas, to cross stitch. And this is a designer's name. But I love these little stitches, and there's a good representation of it. See the blue? That the frame color is that color of blue, and I just love that with these reds. I just think that is so gorgeous. I don't have a lot of that in my home for Christmas, but I love it, and I want to be stitching more of these in 2022. So when I seen this, I thought I need to stitch either one of the bigger projects out of that book, or like a big Christmas tree or something. But I want it to be red. So I went through my charts, and I had this chart in my stash. Oh Christmas Tree from All Through the Night. Gorgeous. It reminds me of JBW Designs Judy's with all the little motifs in there. It is 131 by 101 stitches. So I decided I wanted to make this work, but of course I didn't want green. I think it's okay. It's just a Christmas tree, and I'm going to put it, I'm stitching it in red. But I need to decide on the perfect red to go with that blue. So I decided on Louisiana hot sauce for my red. I think it looks good with this blue. And of course, just a white fabric. Oh my goodness, I didn't even make a project card for this. I hate when I do that. I believe this is a 32 count. It's got the orange, so it's a Zweigart. I think I bought this from Misty Purcell. So I had the fabric, but I went ahead and ordered, I think from 123 Stitch, I got 5 or 6 skeins. I don't know. It might not have been 123 Stitch. I think it was Hollis Hands Creates is who I got 5 or 6 skeins of the Louisiana hot sauce. And so this is my start. Let me put this behind it. So I love, love, love the variegation of that red. I just think that's a beautiful, beautiful red. And I think it's going to look really good in this frame. You know, can you envision what that's going to look like? Anyway, I think that's going to be so pretty. And this is stitching up really quick. I've only worked on that a couple of days and have made quite a bit of progress. So, Oh Christmas Tree from All Through the Night. By Bonnie Sullivan. So yeah, all the little things, baubles in the tree. I just love the tree, and I was going to stitch it in green when I first seen it. I was like, yeah, that's going to be beautiful to, you know, get the right fabric, right color green. But this is going to fit perfectly in this frame on a 32 count. I normally don't like 32 count. Oh, and that was the other thing. It's 32 count, and I want it to be a nice bold red. So I am stitching it 2/2 on a 32 count. And I usually don't like to stitch 2/2, but it looks really good. The stitches are turning out really good, and you know, it's nice and bold. It's really going to be a bold piece. I just love it. Love it. Okay, so that was start number 2. Let me get my threads and everything back in here. Okay, my charts in there. Okay. So that was start number 2. So my third start, I started this morning. I wanted to do New Year, New Start, and I was actually going to start this piece last January. And I learned my lesson quite quickly. So it's Winter Quakers by Rosewood Manor. And these charts, they don't have a conversion to DMC or anything else. They just use the Valdani threads, which I had purchased. I didn't want to take the time to convert, so I bought the Valdani threads. Never had used Valdani threads before, but I did read the instructions in the book, and it tells you with Valdani threads to use a 28 count. But I do not like stitching on 28 count, and I wanted it to be a smaller piece. So I said, well, I'm going to stitch it on a 36 count anyway. No, I'm not. Because in order to do that, I would have to like separate the strands. The Valdani floss is 3 strands coming off the ball, but I didn't want to have to worry about separating it, and it was way too thick to use on a 36 count. It was too thick to use on a 32 count. So I decided not to have that be my New Year, New Start for last year. I said, well, I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board, get the actual fabric that it's called for, and do what I'm supposed to do. So it calls for, picture this, plus 28 count dwarf cast shell. So that is what I bought, except I added the crystal where it's, you know, shiny, sparkly. All the sparkles. Isn't that gorgeous? It is a gorgeous, gorgeous winter snowy blue. I love this. And it is a bit, it's definitely darker than the chart, but it is a dwarf cast shell that it calls for. So I don't know if the crystal part makes it darker. I don't know, but I'm fine with this because I think it's really going to help the white stand out, because within the photo, and it may just be a bad photo, but you know, you don't really see the white that well. So I think it's really going to help the white pop. So this morning, I told myself I'm at least going to get like an hour or so under my belt to have something to show you guys, because I've seen people stitch this, and because it is such a large project, the only progress I've seen is, you know, most people start up here and work down, as do I. That's normally what I do, start in the right corner and work over or down or whatever. And I've heard several people say, and I feel the same way, is like if there's a bunch of people stitching something, it makes you almost not want to stitch it, because it's kind of like, it's almost like you're stitching it because you see all these other people stitching it. So I thought, well, I think it would be kind of motivating. I still like want to start from the top, work down. So I thought, what if I turn the pattern upside down as I'm stitching it, the chart, just turn the chart upside down and stitch on it. This is going to be the top as I'm stitching it. But, you know, of course, when I get done, I will flip the piece over and it'll be this way. But the progress that I'll share with you as I'm stitching along is it's going to be here down. I just thought it would keep it a little more interesting, because my stitches will still be going this exact same direction as I normally stitch. It's just, we'll see a different progress rather than top down. It'll be from like bottom up. If that makes any sense at all, I will show you what I'm talking about. Because when I start a project, I like to start up here and stitch down. So I just took my working copy, and it's literally just upside down when I'm stitching. So that's the only difference. So right now, this is the top. So I'm able to just roll this up, because I stitch in hand, roll it up, start stitching. So we'll be seeing progress from this direction. But when I'm done stitching it, all I have to do is flip it over and it will be as it should be. So I just thought I would do that just to keep it interesting for myself. Because all the progress I see is from the top down. It's like, I want to see something different. And this being a 28 count, and this is three strands of floss, it is still really, really thick for a 28 count. I mean, the stitches look great, and it will definitely be very bold. My concern is, am I going to have enough floss in these little balls? I don't know how much floss is in here. So I'm hoping it will be enough. My only concern may be the white, the lighter color. So we'll see. If I have to buy some more, I have to buy some more, but that's okay. So yeah, I've stitched, I don't know, about an hour or so on that this morning. So I've never stitched on the sparkly fabric before. So like I said, this blue is just so pretty, so pretty. So yeah, it's like I said, it's still thick for 28 count, but it is 3 strands of floss. So it's pretty thick, thicker than, you know, I would like. I feel like I have to put a little more oomph into getting my needle through. So we'll see. Oh, what I wanted to share is, you know, not knowing how much floss is on these balls. I did have some stitchy kindness from Barbara. Most of you may probably know her as Nevada Stitcher on Instagram. She has such beautiful projects. I love watching her progress. I told her she needs to do a floss tube, but she just said she's not into doing floss tube, which I get it. I get it. But she has absolutely beautiful projects, finishes, starts. It's gorgeous. She sent me a Christmas card with some floss drops. Absolutely so pretty. I just love this. She said this was a stitch that a friend had stitched for her. And so it's a photo of that. But I thought that is going to be perfect to use as floss drops for this Valdani thread. I'm going to take these out of the ball and put them on the floss drops. So I will be doing that later today. I told myself I've got to get this video recorded. It's already like 2:30 in the afternoon. So yeah, that was my 3 starts. That was my new year, new start. Super excited about getting that restarted. So yeah, just a note, if you do a rosewood manor and it tells you you're using the Valdani and it has to be this count of fabric, do it. Just do it. Just behave. Do what you're told. Okay, so starts. I've got a detailed list so I don't leave anything out. So we'll move on to whips. And I only have 4 of those that I've worked on. So you can tell I've really been focused this year and not like jumping, you know, spending a day or two and then moving to something else. I like to focus and, you know, get some good work done on stuff, or finished even be better. So my first whip that we'll look at is, oops, and I don't have the start date. I am going to do my whip parade video and I'll have my start date on all of these. Actually, I got my project card. Oh, July 1st of 2019. I must have done the Christmas in July back then. Sorry, this is Lizzie Kate's Christmas Rules. This is, I don't know, 6 or 8 charts. But Christmas rules. Oh my gosh. And I'm doing the whole thing here. So I've made pretty good progress, I think. I'm stitching this on 36 count, and I am using the called for flosses 36 count Heartland. I think it's by Picture This Plus. So when I picked this back up this year, I had finished the top, and I'm using the free border provided by Lizzie Kate on her website or blog, whatever that is. So I had the top, and I think it's just some of this, the first block there. And so I finished that and moved all the way down, finished these 2, and I'm heading to the next one. Love this. I wish I had Cynthia Brew. She finished this and she darkened the colors up a little bit. Like the pink she used is just gorgeous. It's just a little more primitive look. But I had already gotten some of the pink in, so I just continued on. I like how it is, but hers is just gorgeous. I loved how she made it look a little more prim. But yeah, after I started, after I picked this back up and started stitching on it again, I mean, it didn't take me any time to finish those two. I'm like, there's no reason I shouldn't have already had this knocked out. So yeah, I love that. It's so pretty. So then next, I have worked on Sweetheart Hill, and I had mentioned earlier this year my focus is working on older whips, and that was from 2019. You'll see in my whip parade I only have 4 left from 2018, 4 whips left from 2018. So Sweetheart Hill, I started Sweetheart Hill from Plum Street Samplers. Oh, I just have a black and white my working copy there. Started this in honor of my wedding anniversary. I started on December 21st of 2020. Right, yeah, 2020. Yeah, I think it was 2019 that we went to New York City for our 21st. Yeah. So it wasn't a New York City start. But I am stitching this on 36 count Purely Primitive by Silk Weaver. And I think the last time I showed you, I had the house done and like this flower. So since then, I have stitched the man, most of the lady, and this here in the middle. So I've done quite a bit for just a few days worth of stitching on it. Sorry, that light from that Christmas tree. There we go. I did change it up a little bit. Like both the lady and the man had like a hat on. It looked kind of weird. So I just, like his hair it's just hair. There's not a hat on there. My husband has dark hair. And I switched her hair. I think she had dark hair as well, charted, but I changed it to blonde to hopefully look a little more like myself. So yeah, I don't know if I had all the exact called for. If I didn't have the called for, I went ahead and used whatever I had that was similar. So yeah, there's quite a bit of stitching left on this because that house is huge and they are standing on a mound of grass that's pretty large. But I did want to focus on it. It was calling to me, so I picked it up and have worked on it probably about a week or so. I've stitched on it. I've kind of, like, for the month of December, kind of was like, would go through my charts, like what's calling to me, what do I feel like stitching on, preferring Christmas or winter theme, and preferably older charts. So that's what I've stitched on in the month of December. And so my next is, this is the one this is the one I have been stitching on the most the last week or so. It is, let's see, I started this, okay, now this is the one I started, for our New York City trip. We drove there and we left December 14th of 2019. And so this was a start in honor of starting our New York City adventure. And we went there for our 21st wedding anniversary. And it was right when China had announced that the nasty stuff had started over there. So it's before anything started shutting down. So we had a fabulous time in New York City. So this is Heartstring Samplery Hibernation Day. Not the greatest picture of this chart, But I love the sentiment because, as I said earlier, I love to hibernate. And it says, I love the snap of winter air and snowflakes on my face, how snowdrifts make the world disappear without a trace. I'll take a day dressed in pajamas in a room without a view if I can spend the day curled up next to you. Let's have a hibernation day, me and you. Perfect, because I love to hibernate. And we had a beautiful hotel room overlooking the city, so it was great. So stitching on this has brought back lots of great memories. And I've made quite a bit of progress. So I think when I last shared it, I had most of the yellow here stitched. So when I picked this, oh no, wait a minute. Yeah. I think I had to finish the last couple things of berries here. And so I've stitched the snowflakes and the next border, started the next thing of words. And then sorry about that, started stitching the roof of the house and got the bird on the top. So I love this stitch, and as you can tell, didn't really center it. I've only got like maybe 1.5 inches on this side and 6 inches on the other side. I don't know what I was thinking there, but anyway, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's all good. So yeah, I still have quite a bit to go. So I'm right there. So I have these houses, and I mean, they look kind of big, and I'm like, oh, I got 2 big old houses to stitch. And honestly, they're not that big. I think they're like 25-ish or so stitches across. That one is. So it's really not that bad. That's what I'm telling myself. But I don't know. I may be able to get this knocked out this year, which would be awesome. And the last piece I have worked on is actually a restart. After when I pulled it back out, I was like, this is going to be a restart. So I restarted it. The piece is Waiting for Christmas by Sarah Ormani, I believe Italian. It just says Sarah up there. It is 278 stitches by 263 stitches. Very large piece, but as you can tell, it's not solid stitching. It's not like a full coverage, which not my thing. But I just love this piece. I think I got this off of eBay because it came with the fabric, and it's all just DMC. So, but the piece of fabric that it came with it came with a 32 count. I don't know what the color was. It was just a basic plain like beige. And it's a little stiff. Well, it's stiff. And I actually dipped this in tea and coffee dye and some cinnamon, ground cinnamon. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. All it does is dry it onto your fabric, and as you're stitching it, falls onto your lap. Yep. Well, you'll smell good is the good thing. But this is where I was when I stopped stitching on this. I might have stitched on a little bit back in last January. I'm not sure. So this is how far I had. And when I picked it back up a few weeks ago, I was like, I'm not liking this fabric at all, because you can see it will take up pretty much all of this fabric. So it's a big piece of fabric. And I started, you know, I normally start in the upper right hand corner, but I started in the bottom corner just because it was an easy starting spot for me. The top of the chart is like a sky, and it has some hills back there with snow. So it was just kind of hard to get your starting point up in that corner. So I started in the bottom corner. So I've had to have all of this fabric, stiff fabric, rolled up as I'm stitching on this. And it's 32 count, and I was stitching it, this is stitched 1/2 on 32 count, which I think the coverage is pretty good. For the white, I did use 2 strands of white, so it popped up a little bit better. But I did not like the fabric, and I thought this is too big of a piece to stitch on any longer and not enjoy the fabric part of it. So a couple weeks ago, I was like, I'm ditching that start. It may not be bad to work with as ornaments. I may use this as fabric for ornaments, but I am going to probably stitch the rest of this tree, and I think I can just, this top of this may need something, but I'm going to finish this as much as I can to make it like maybe into a pillow, or maybe a little framed piece, maybe like a 5x7 frame piece or something. But I think that's definitely salvageable. You know, I'll just cut off all this excess so I can easily finish whatever else needs to get stitched to make that look like a nice little piece. So, but I think I would be okay to stitch on this, just cutting this fabric down and using it for ornaments. So that's my plan there. So that's all the whips that I've stitched on. So I think I did quite a bit. Oh, I didn't show you my restart on this on this chart. Okay. So I restarted it on a 36 count parchment. So I took the time to go ahead and count over to start from the top. I'm like, you're just going to suck it up, count it, and do it, because it's just going to be easier to stitch. So here's my restart. So I started with the snowflake, counted down to get to the snowflake. There's still maybe, I don't know, 10 or 12 rows of this mountain to stitch at the top. And so it's actually stitching up pretty fast. I'm really enjoying stitching on it. I just think it's going to be so pretty. I just love the kind of muted colors. So, and the white I'm using is 3865. I love using 3865 for my snow, and I think it looks okay. I think it calls for B5200. That's just too bright of a white for me. So with the muted reds and browns, I think the 3865 looks really good with it. So yeah, I'm really enjoying stitching on this piece now that I've restarted it on the different fabric. Okay, so it's weird. I've got it in a Halloween project bag. That's why I was like, am I putting that in the right bag? I don't want to get flosses and fabrics mixed up. So let's move on to WIPGO. That's the last of our projects I'll be sharing on this video. So WIPGO, I hear lots of people go over what WIPGO is. Jessie Marie does stuff. That's her YouTube channel. Explains it very well. There are no rules. It's your chart, your rules. You do whatever you want to. You change out pieces, blah, blah, blah. You make up whatever projects you want to put on there. Whip, starts, whatever. My goal, I had 6 different projects that I put on my WIPGO board. And each block was 1,000 stitches. So each time that whatever number was called, it was 1,000 stitches on whatever project's in the block. And so I did a coverall for my 2021 WIPGO. So I had Christmas Village, Halloween Quaker, December, Miss Baxter, and Forever and Ever, and Christmas Quaker. And so then I just repeated them all in a line. And so in my block, I marked what month it was called, and it was 1,000 stitches. So when I finished them, I colored it in pink. And I succeeded in my 25,000 stitches in these 6 projects. Actually a little bit more, because December, I just showed you, was an FFO. So after I got my 4,000 stitches in that project, I was so close and really enjoying stitching on that. I went ahead and finished it. And I think I shared that in my last Flosstube, and so I FFO'd it. So yeah, I was thrilled with my results and the progress I made on all of these pieces. So let me go through, since my last video, I finished my I finished my 5,000 stitches on Christmas Village. It was on the board 5 times. So 5,000 for Christmas Village, 4,000 for Miss Baxter, 4,000 on my Forever and Ever, and then 4,000 on Halloween Quaker and Christmas Quaker, and the December chart had over 4,000. After I got my 4,000, I stopped counting and I just finished it out. So this Prairie Schoolers Christmas Village, this is my oldest WIP. Whew. We discussed in my last Flosstube my struggle with getting this done. It's on Aida. It's with 2 strands of floss. That's why I'm not crazy about it. But it's my oldest WIP. I am not throwing the towel in on this one. I will get this done. I'm bound and determined. So I did get quite a bit done. I don't remember what all I got done. I know I've has since stitched this house, probably finished these up here just to get my 1,000 stitches to finish that. Now, someone did have a suggestion, and I took it, and has really worked well, is stitching, was it this one? My trees. Can't remember, I think it was this one, just to stitch the trees, because I did the roof of one of these. I think it's this house. I just used 1 strand of floss. I am just using 1 strand of floss on the trees, which, I mean, some of them are 2/2, but like these last few here are just 1/2. Oh, 1/1. This is Aida. And the coverage is fine. And so it's very easy to move along there. So, and I think it was Eloise Stitches. There was a couple of different people that said stitch, and I think that was there because I was like, I need to remember, because that's brilliant and it has really helped. I think it was this chart. They was like, just stitch the trees 1/1. Yeah, 1/1 with Aida. So yeah, this is my oldest WIP. Didn't get it finished, but I am not giving up on it. but I did get 5,000 stitches on it, so I was thrilled with that. This is Miss Baxter's house. This is a very old WIP. I started this one February 3rd of 2019. I am stitching this on 36 count Legacy. And you see, that is a big house, and Stacy Nash loves big houses. But you know what? I got a couple more of her Christmas at Hollyberry Farm and Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. And as rough as it's been stitching on this house, they're just beautiful. So I haven't started them yet. I've told myself I have to finish this one before I will start another one. So, oh my, this needle is a mess. Okay, so I still do have my needle, so there's a hanging thread here, but it needs to go the same direction as the roll. So yeah, I got 4,000 stitches in her. So a little more progress on the house, which is good. I started coming down with this border as well. I love that I changed the flowers from the pink color to the red. Absolutely gorgeous. It's going to be a beautiful piece. I just need to focus on it. Just do it. Just do it. Okay, and next is Forever and Ever by Brenda Gervais. So I finished my 4,000 stitches in this one. And on my 2021 WIPGO board, I was focusing on my older WIPs. This was, I believe, April 1st, 2019 start. I did an early Stitch Mania where I had a start every day. So I have a lot of April of 19 WIPs. And again, stitching this on a 36 count as well. I've made pretty good progress on this. Sorry, it's not iron, so it's rolling on me. The top border is done. This side border is done. The bottom border, you can see, stopped about there with the little leaves. So the little leaves need to be added. And then it comes up just a little bit more on this side. But then I've got the house done and stitching on the butterfly and progress on this. So yeah, most of the letters are, is it Algerian or, I don't know, the Algerian stitches or Smyrna crosses. I don't remember which one it is, but they stitch up really fast, so I've really enjoyed those. But I love the chart. It's just another one. It's like, it seems like I've been working on it forever, so it's like, oh, I just want to get it done. So that's why I put it on my WIPGO. I made pretty good progress on it. So, and then I'll just round out my other 3 projects. I had already finished the 4,000 stitches on these projects. The other one was Halloween Quaker by Lila's Studio. I've seen several people stitch on this lately. So that was, I made quite a bit of progress on it. I love the Witch and the Moon. It's so pretty. Yeah, I love this chart. I've not got burnout on it, which thank goodness, because there's quite a bit more to go. And then I had Christmas Quaker, or Quaker Christmas. Yeah, Quaker Christmas too. I know Annie the Proper Stitcher and some others are either stitching number 1 or number 2. So yeah, I love that. I just cannot wait to get that in my home. It's going to be so gorgeous. The red I'm using is Buckeye Scarlet. Yeah, Buckeye Scarlet. So I got plenty of reds, and I'm using Classic Colorworks English Ivy for my green. So it's a nice bright red and bright green. I'm stitching this on 36 count fog. And I did get my 4,000 stitches in it. So there's my progress. So pretty. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I love the fabric. Again, I love stitching on it. It's just a really big project, so it's just, you know, these big projects, it's like, oh, I just want to get it done and get it hanging up because it's so pretty. And my my last one was December that I have fully finished. So at least I got a fully finished object off of my WIPGO board. Thrilled with that. It got me so close to the end, so I was like, continue on, and so I did, and I was thrilled with that. So for my 2022 WIPGO board, so each square on my 21 was 1,000 stitches. I've upped that. I want to make more progress. So each square is 2,000 stitches, and I have 3 projects plugged in: Quaker Christmas, Halloween Quaker, the 2 I just showed you, and Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow. I've added it to my WIPGO board. And then my other 2 is my oldest WIP, which currently is Christmas Village that I showed you. And then I had added WIP of choice. So, you know, towards the end of WIPGO, I was like, oh, I don't want to work on that one. I don't want to work on that one. So I can work on a newer WIP, an older WIP, in the middle WIP, whatever WIP I want to work on. So I thought that would be fun, motivating to keep on going. So, and you know, it could be if I'm stitching on Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow, and that's a number as well it's been called, and I'm enjoying it, you know, keep on stitching on it. So yeah, I can't not wait to see how much progress I make on these. So number 2 and number 19 was called, so that's Halloween Quaker, and my oldest WIP. So Christmas Village and Halloween Quaker is what I will be working on this month. And last year I did pretty good at getting my stitches in the month that it was called. Not that I had to. Some of them I did have to, you know, go a couple months afterwards to get my 1,000 stitches in. But at the end of the year, I was able to get all of my stitches in, 25,000 stitches. And so I was thrilled and very happy with that. So I'm excited to see the progress I make, because like Quaker Christmas, I'll actually be getting 10,000 stitches into that rather than just 4. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that. And I guess the only thing I have left is for 2022. Yep. For 2022, I am going to focus on smalls. I want to get Prairie Schooler Santas done for my Christmas tree. I have ornaments that I've stitched each year for everyone else, but I just don't take the time to stitch them for myself because I need to get the other ones stitched and fully finished to give them as gifts. So I have Christmas tree ornaments that I want to stitch on. I'm going to use the kind of a guide when I say smalls, not just ornaments, but anything. I think like 100 by 100 or less, stitch, stitch count wise, I think would be a good consideration as a small. I think that's what I'm going to the rule I'm going to go by. But like I said, that's going to be a focus, not that that's the only thing I'm going to stitch on. Because there are other whips that call to me every now and then that I would like to stitch on. But I am going to try to focus on whips. I'll look to see what small whips I have. So I may have some starts as far as the smaller pieces, the 100 by 100 or less. So that's going to be my goal. Michelle McGraw, she killed it last year with the smalls, and oh my gosh, it was so motivational and inspiring. It's like, yes, I want to get these smalls done because they're a little easier to either, finish into pillows or little ornaments or something that not just a tree ornament, but to hang in other places or just lean up against something in your hutch or whatever. You kind of start running out of space trying to get bigger pieces in the frames. You start kind of running out of space. So I would like to knock out some smalls because I really want to get more ornaments on my trees. So that's my 2022 plans. Even though, I started Winter Quaker today, that's huge. Totally not a small. But hey, each motif can be considered a small, right? So that's my WIPGO 2022 and my 2022 plans. And I am going to wrap it up here so that I'm probably going to go ahead and get this one uploaded. And then start recording my whip parade. So the whip parade may not get posted until Sunday, January 2nd. But it has been so fun watching all the whip parades and everybody's end of the year update. I know I have spent lots of time on the couch this week watching the videos. So many whip parades and updates. It's great. It's great. I just love this time of the year because it's like Flosstube overload and it's great. So hopefully you enjoyed that update, and hopefully you'll stop by and watch my whip parade. I've made some good progress. I have knocked out some older ones, so I do have less whips starting 2022 than I had starting 2021. So that's my goal. That was my goal, is to get some of my whips down. So join me on my next video so you can see all of my whips. I hope and pray everyone has a very blessed, prosperous, healthy, happy 2022. I know I'm looking forward to it. Go out there and make the most of it. So I'll see you on my whip parade. Thanks, everyone.